be present. Tell people you love them. Tell someone that you care about them, even if it's a stranger. Do something to make them feel good. Because when you say something kind and nice to someone, you also feel good.
Welcome to the Lara Jane Layton Show. This podcast is for you, the person who keeps putting others first. Your self-talk has held you back. You no longer need to take a second seat. Let's explore ways to overcome self-doubt. You can silence that inner bully voice and achieve your full potential. Here's your host, Lara Jane.
Welcome to the show, friend. My new best friend, Sue, is with me today, and we are going to talk about the many hats we wear through our lives. I remember my kid hat and my teenager hat and my everything, but I wear lots of hats right now today. It's like I'm different with the groups that I'm in. I might be wearing my woo-woo hat or my corporate hat or my go play with the dogs in the park hat. What hat do you have? And are you holding on to any hats that don't serve you anymore? Because we do change. And yeah, I like to keep it in my closet, but maybe it's time to let go of some. So Sue's going to help us figure out what to do with these hats and going to tie it into her horses. She loves to work with horses, and I love this because I think most of us have an equestrian area near us that we could go hang out with horses. So, Sue, we're going to take a quick break, get a word from our sponsor, and come back. Help me figure out where to put all these hats or what to do with them. So we'll be right back.
This is Adam Adams, co-founder of Optimized LLC, where we take the guesswork out of your health. If you're feeling exhausted, struggling with weight, or just not feeling yourself anymore, your hormones might be the problem. And that's why we test, not guess. Analyzing your blood work to pinpoint exactly what's holding you back. At Optimized LLC, we help you rebalance your hormones, boost energy, and reclaim your life. Don't settle for normal. Aim for optimized. Just go to optimized.com to book your free introductory coaching call. It's a free call to help you take the first step toward feeling your best.
All right, Sue. I have lots of hats. Should I throw some of them away or should I keep them all for nostalgia?
You know, Laura Jane, that is an excellent question. Sometimes I will take my big bucket of hats and pick out whichever one I want to wear on that day. Maybe it's a spring day, so I get out my fun spring hat. You might not want to throw them all away because they may come back in style at some point. But I do understand about keeping a lot of hats around because sometimes it can be cluttery, and we don't want cluttery. We want some sort of clarification. But like yourself, I too have worn a number of hats throughout my life. A lot of them centered around horses. So I have a lot of horse hats, and they're all different. But yes, there are definitely times when different hats come into my life, and sometimes it's a ball cap, and I put it on backwards, and that feels good. And then sometimes it's a cowgirl hat, and I put that on, and I feel like a cowgirl. But it may also be a very serious corporate hat, or it could be a comedy hat. I've done stand-up comedy as well. But I'd love to embrace each and every hat, and sometimes I'll wear it for a day. Sometimes I'll wear it for a few weeks. Sometimes I'll wear it for a month or a few years until it just doesn't fit anymore. And I, love it, take it off, and I put it in a nice, safe spot. Like I said, sometimes I may want to revisit that hat, try it on again, and maybe it's got a different feel. Maybe it's now fits me a little bit better or something. But yes, I do love the fact that a hat can be an identity, a hat can be a feeling, a hat can be an emotion. I don't know. Do you feel that same way about your hats?
Yeah, I have you have a different hat for every kid you have because they're so different. And then you have your general mom hat, and then you have the dog hat or the horse hat. What are those things in our lives? Or the significant other hat. I can be half of a hat if you want. But there's so many. And some days I just want a calm hat on. I just want to stay calm. And so it can be a feeling. And other days I want the productive hat on and I wanted to go, go, go. But it doesn't matter beyond I just need to be productive. But then you have that I got to go to some uppity up meeting with all the board directors. And now what hat do I wear? You can't wear your spring happy hat. Well, you can. But what is it that you need to wear? And how do you pick the hat for the day? Now
I think
that one's hard.
yeah. Well, sometimes you might wanna carry a bag, right, with
Yeah.
multiple hats in it because even during the course of the day, right, you're on your way to work, so you're, like, in the car and you're
Got
thinking
the
about
commuter hat on.
your commuter hat on and whatever you're doing to prep for your day in the car, whether it's listening to your podcast or whether it's doing something else to get yourself in that motivational mindset to walk through that door of your office. And I know that when I was in corporate America, that was not easy. That hat was a big one and it weighed me down a lot of times. And to the point where I'm like, okay, do I really have to put this hat on anymore? Maybe not. Maybe I don't want to wear that hat anymore. So I think that you can wear multiple hats during the day, whether you're, like you said, focusing on something. You need to figure out what it is. And the way I do that is to get myself grounded and centered and be aware of, be a little curious, like, okay, what am I walking into or what situation am I about to handle? Is it a meeting? Is it a walk with the dog, like you said? What mindset do I need to be in? Hats can also be a mindset. Hats can be so many different things. But I think if you just I take a few moments, take a deep breath. Where am I going? What am I doing? What hat do I need to wear? How am I going to show up? And that's another hat, right? We're using the hat as a metaphor in this case, but I do think it's all about how you need and want to show up for any given piece of your life.
Which is a really good point because I have my Jane hat. That's the plain part of me. I have my Lara Jane hat. That's the professional side of me. I've named these.
Good to
And
give
you
them an
just
identity. Yes.
yeah, it's like it kind of makes sense. And I have the peacemaker hat, which is different than the people pleaser hat that I used to have. But I replaced it because that was a little too much for me. Because you can't for me, I was unable to make everybody happy, so I had to choose to make me happy and then let my happiness make other people happy by themselves without me thinking about it. So go if you have people pleaser hat, it's okay to retire
That's a good one to put in the back of the closet
it.
or the Goodwill bag, I would say. Let somebody else wear that hat. Somebody else will walk into the Goodwill and they'll be like, look at this hat. This is amazing. I'm putting this right on. Then pretty much before you know it, they're like bringing that same hat back to the thing because they're like, I don't want to wear this hat either.
That is so true. So, I know you do a lot of work with horses. How does a horse help me? Like, I could put on my whatever hat. I'm going out to play with the horse's hat. But how does it help me in my daily life to have that? I'm going to call it because this is what it does for me. They ground me. They take away all that stuff that's in my brain that it's just not important at the time. And so for me, that is what I get from my horse or my pet hat. What do you get?
I get from horses so much. And here's the funny thing about horses they do not care what hat you're wearing. They don't care. They look right past that hat and they go right inside you and they connect with you in your heart space. And that is the connection. They can take that hat off you and throw it in the manure pile because they just don't care what hat you're wearing. They are connecting with you at a much deeper level through your heart rate, through your biorhythms, through your breathing. And yes, they are teaching you to be aware and to be present and to understand what is really going on and to get the information behind a message or behind a feeling or behind an emotion. And that's the hat that horses wear. No hat.
No hat. I mean, could I actually do a no hat? That
Mm,
would be like kind of fun to think about. Like, I'm not playing a role, I'm just being authentic. That would kind of
yeah.
be fun.
The vulnerability hat.
I often wear my I'm in control hat.
Horses, that's not a favorite of the horse. The horse is like, yeah, that hat's not going to
You're
fly with
not
me.
having it. How long have you been working? It sounds like most of your life you've been around horses.
Yeah. They have been a thread for me all my life. From the time I was a little kid growing up, they were my safe space. They were my heart space. And I didn't even realize it at the time. I felt home. I felt at home with the horses being part of their herd because they are herd animals. And they are prey animals, which most people don't quite understand because they're so big and they're so powerful. But they are very much community based beings and nonverbal communicators, unless, of course, they're nickering at you. So when I was around the horses when I was younger, it made me feel safe and it made me feel comfortable and it made me really, really happy. So that was my happy hat for sure.
We all need a happy hat.
Yeah.
Do you do special classes with your horses or go somewhere for them? I mean, here I have to go somewhere to play with horses. So, do you have them in your backyard?
No, I have them. They're right down the street, though. My horse lives right down the street, so I can go visit him in 5 minutes. And then I also have a couple of horse rescues that I work with for my coaching practice. And I can go there and hang out with little ones, little minis, and big horses, and old horses, and horses that have seen all kinds of things in their lives. And they're willing to share their life experience. My
Wow.
horse, his name is Moose. He's a big fellow and he lives 5 minutes away from me. I live in a rural town outside of Seattle and I moved here specifically so that I could be closer to him and my other horse pals. I also work with rescue horses at a couple of different places, and that's how I connect my clients with the horses for my coaching practice. And it's really a beautiful thing to have people interact with the horses. There's no riding, everything is on the ground. You, the horse, me, and getting to the bottom of things and taking off those hats.
I love that you mentioned how the horse doesn't see a hat, that he just sees your heart. And how cool would that be? That's what I am striving so hard to do. And that sounded like I'm like putting this crazy effort, but it's a constant thought of I need to love this person, even though they may be angry at the moment, or even though they just triggered me. I was like, how do I get beyond the facade of the emotion that's going on with the person right now to just get to their heart, to know that this is safe. It's okay. So maybe I want to be a horse.
I tell some people, be the horse, because that's what horses do. As prey animals, every cell of their being is constantly assessing their environment. And to them, it's not emotional. Horses don't hang on to things, they don't make judgments. They take in the information, they assess, am I safe? Am I not safe? Am I potentially not going to be safe? And then they will let it go. Okay, process the information and let it go. So it's like taking a step back, becoming the observer, and getting information. Why is this person, you know, checking my boxes? Why is this person making the hair on the back of my neck stand up? Why am I getting this feeling? And how can I take in that information and then change my response above and beyond that gut reaction to just be lash out maybe at somebody if somebody's really annoying you, like you said. Um, and horses are great at that because they're not going to stand around the water cooler and talk about what happened 6 months ago. They moved on. They give each other a message, and it's like if one horse tells another horse, "No, don't eat my hay," no is a complete sentence. And they're like, "We're done here." "Okay, message received. Thank you. I understand. Bye." They don't get into it. Yeah.
I had, when my kids were growing up, a principal that I admired so much because every time my troublemaker child got in trouble, it was new. She didn't remember the 30 other times he had been to the office and punished him for it. Like, this is a habit. It was, let's talk about what happened today. We can fix today. We can't change yesterday, but we can change tomorrow by learning from our behavior. And I just, up and down as you are, so amazing, because most people, I hold on to what happened yesterday. Ask my husband. I have a really good memory. And I can tell you everything he did bad ever, but I forget all the good things he did. I shouldn't say it like that, but it's just kind of that feeling of why do we latch on to the things that we don't like? And probably because, oh, that sound meant that the thunder was coming and then lightning comes and then I'm in trouble. So in our way back history, those were really important things because they keep us safe. And those things we're not in that same environment anymore. So feeling safe is critical. But how do we get it?
Well, like you said, humans have a vast library, not only of hats, but also of tapes. And like you said, one thing a trigger or something that is a familiar thing that happens, and you're like, oh, let me pull out that tape and plug it in. Whereas horses, like I said, don't have that. How can you get beyond that? How can you not pull out that tape? You can reach for it, but don't pull it out. And like I said, by building an awareness of what is the actual information, it's just data that you're getting. Data is processed, and then you can let it go. It's not something that you need to analyze and analyze and analyze and get stuck and then make up stories. That's the biggest thing that we do as humans, making up a story where you may have one interaction with a person and then in 10 minutes you're going spiraling out of control down some rat hole about God only knows what that never happened. So that's how we can learn from horses because they don't do that. If we can just be in a situation, stop, step back, become the observer of that situation, even if it's just for a second, we're going to have a different perspective. So it's all about taking a different perspective on whatever that interaction is. What somebody pulls out in front of you and flips you off or whatever. Did that person, are they just having a bad day? Do you have to react to that? Do you get up on their tail and honk the horn and, spiral out of control about it? Or do you say, good morning, have a nice day? So it's all
Glad
about
you're safe.
yeah, right? So it's all about taking in the information and then changing how you react. And sometimes it's a process, right? It's just about making tiny little adjustments. Are you still gonna get triggered when the guy pulls in front of you and slams on the brakes and flips you off because you didn't even see him coming? Maybe. But how can you change that? How can you flip the script on that and say, well, have a nice day, sir?
Because we're going to run into that situation,
Oh, absolutely.
and not literally someone pulling out in front of you, but figuratively, we're going to have to slam on the brakes. That's going to be your first reaction because that's going to keep you safe.
Mhm.
But now you're safe.
Right.
What's your next reaction or action?
Yeah. I try not to slam on the brakes. I used to drive a limousine. You don't slam on the brakes or the people in the back of the car are going to end up in the front seat with you. So if you can apply the brakes slowly. That'll give you time to pull back, right? And make that assessment. Is this life-threatening? Is this, you're assessing what is the situation. And then and then you come to a nice slow stop and you're like, okay, I am safe now. No one got harmed. No one spilled their drink in the back of the limousine. And we're all good.
And you've learned to do that slow brake apply because you chose to learn it.
Mm-hmm.
And some of us may not have been in a situation that taught us that, and we're still slamming on the brakes and rattling other people because of it. But I love that we don't have to keep doing that. We can learn. I mean, we talk about going to the gym and lifting weights. You don't lift 100 pounds the first day. You may do 5 pounds. You may do 10 pounds, whatever works for you. But eventually you get to the 100. If you've never stepped in, you're going to start with the little weights. And so if you slam on that brake and everybody flies forward, that's your learning process. The only thing you need to remember about that is this didn't work. Next time I'll go a little slower until you get it perfect. And then you know exactly what to do. And so it is taking and reflecting. How did my reactions help me today? And is that how I want them to be tomorrow, or do I want to change them?
And I think many of the things that I've done in my life, like when I was getting my private pilot's license, making small adjustments. When you're flying a plane and you're trying to head in a specific direction, you have a lot of things that are going to knock you off course. It may be the wind, it may be whatever. And if you course correct too strongly, i.e. slam in on the brakes, right, in the limousine, if you course correct too quickly, then you're going to veer way off path. And then you're going to just be swerving back and forth to try and stay on your course. If you make tiny little adjustments, or in my coaching practice, I call them turtle steps, make a tiny adjustment. Like, okay, the people in the back of the car, just threw up because I stopped too fast. Next time, I'm going to, like you said, I'm going to make a tiny little adjustment. I'm going to put on the brakes a little bit slower next time. Same thing, like I said, with horses. Horses are all about trying different things. If they're not responding the way you hope that they would respond, try something different. If you're doing the same thing and getting the same result, you need to course correct.
Yes. We don't do the same thing and get a different result. That doesn't work.
Exactly.
Unless the whole situation was different.
Yeah.
I'm in my practice driving car and the brakes don't really work.
Yeah. But yes, making tiny adjustments. And that's why building awareness is key for me and what I teach people, to build awareness. What went well in that situation? What could I have done differently? What adjustment can I make next time? I always look at what went well, because there's something positive that came out of it. You stopped, you didn't hit the car in front of you, or whatever it is. Could I have done that better? Yes. What adjustment can I make next time? So if those are 3 really easy steps that you can, like you said, you don't go to the gym and start, bench pressing 350 pounds, or you don't go out and run a marathon on your first day. You'll kill yourself. You may start walking around the block.
Got to start somewhere. And
Yeah.
I think remembering it's okay to be a beginner and
Yes,
learning.
absolutely.
We don't have to worry about looking dumb. We're just a beginner. It's okay.
But we do. We do worry about looking foolish and how people are going to judge us. That's why it's being with the horses, and I hate to keep bringing them back in here, but it's kind of a nice little test ground for people, because the horse is not judging you. It doesn't care how much money you make, what you're wearing, which hat you have on, because it's seeing beyond all that. And you can be yourself, be open, be vulnerable, and let yourself come out. And the horse is not going to judge you. It's not going to laugh at you. So if you want to talk about, I want to be an astronaut, the horse is like, cool. What do you need to do to be that?
So I don't have to have Wrangler jeans and cowboy boots and a 10-gallon hat to play with the horses. They're going to like me even if I'm in my high heels and dress.
Yeah, you might not be comfortable in the high heels and dress
But
walking
they're not
around
going
in
to
a
know the difference and they don't
hand-filled
care.
they don't care.
Because as humans, we do a lot of judgment based on what we see.
Mhm.
You know, go into a grocery store and someone looks like they just got out of bed and you think, oh, they're so lazy. They don't want to get ready get pretty to go outside. That's our issue. If they want, maybe they have a sick kid at home and they're barely, make a story up to say it's okay to look like that at the grocery store instead of judging them
Yeah.
because we don't have. It doesn't make you any more safe to create a picture about somebody than it does without, unless they seem like they're going to attack you. And then you can make up a story to get away.
And then you can just go into flight mode and run away.
Yeah, just run away.
That's what horses do. They're like, can I work through this or should I just get the heck out of here?
And I'm sure that, as you're talking about horses, that someone that has dogs or someone that has cats, or there's a lot of other different kind of home animals that they feel kind of that same thing is they're so unconditional. Well, maybe cats aren't. They like to be mad all the time.
They're just independent.
I love them, but cats are my favorite, but I have dogs. But, if you have those things in your life, you get a glimpse of what that, I don't care what you're wearing. I do know that when you put my harness on me, we're going outside. I do, they know patterns, but they don't care. I don't care if it's red or green or purple or if it matches my collar or not. You do.
You leave the house for 5 seconds and you come back in and you could have been gone a month and they just were like, "Oh my God, you came home."
I know. And 5 seconds will do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Does your horse run and greet you every time you show up? Or
He nickers. Like if he's in his stall, my car pulls in and as soon as I get out, I hear him. He's got a very deep voice. And he connects. He's like, "Hey, are you going to come play with me or what? What are we doing today?" So,
that is so cute. And I love it when my husband comes home and the dogs take off running. Like it is the best thing ever of their whole day.
yeah.
And the person being ran towards also feels good.
Yeah.
So how do we do that as humans? How do we take a little bit of that? I just love to see you and give it to our loved ones because they deserve it.
They do. Be honest with people. I hang up the phone. I'm like, "I love you." Whether it's somebody I just talked to. I tell people, like, be present. Tell people you love them. Tell someone that you care about them, even if it's a stranger. Do something to make them feel good. Because when you say something kind and nice to someone, you also feel good. Like you said, the dogs come running to your husband and your husband feels great. You can do the same thing. Just be kind to people. Be understanding. Show some humanity, like you were saying about the person in the grocery store. You don't know. Well, you don't know what they're going through. So I think that if we make an effort to disregard judgment and just open ourselves up to people, whether it's our people that we already know, tell somebody that you don't. I mean, you never know, right? It might be the last time you're going to see them. If you don't tell them that you love them or that you care about them or that you're proud of them, my mom used to tell me all the time, and she had her issues for sure. But she always told me, "I love you. I'm proud of you. You can do anything you want. And I don't care what that is, but I'm here to support you. And I love you and I care about you." And those things go a long way, even when
Y-
things are hard.
Yeah, some of the choices my kids made throughout throughout their life, not just a year. I remember people like, "Why do you let them do that?" And I go, if I support their change now, when it's an easy little thing, they're going to be so much more open and willing to share it when it's a tough thing.
Yeah.
And so why program them that telling your mom something's not safe? I wanted them to always be safe and not ever have that chicken. I can't
Right.
believe you were so stupid. I can't believe you did that. I mean, what a major difference. You go, oh, tell me more about that. How'd that happen? And
Even though
then,
it might be hard for you to say that because you really wanna go, "What? You're nuts." But
of course we do, because we
yeah.
care and we want our kids to be safe. But I also want them to feel safe when they're approaching with a difficult situation. So, what
Mhm.
can I do today to help be more like a horse? So, when they do come, I'm there to receive on a heart based instead of all this history and all these things you do and all you hurt me this one time. It's like, it's
Put
okay.
on your horse hat.
I'm going to get a horse hat. One of these days, I'm going to get a novelty shop up on my website and I'll have horse hats and what would my dog do and kindness is a superpower cape.
There you go.
All
Those are
these
great
things
items.
that, like just what comes up on the podcast of things that like, wouldn't this be cool if you could buy this?
Yeah, like a sticker or a mug
Mhm.
or bumper sticker,
It's
whatever.
fun.
But to answer your question, it's the same thing that we've been talking about. When your kids approach you, I think if you create that container of safety rather than judgment with them to begin with, and it sounds like you've done that or have been trying to do that when they were younger, like, "Oh, that's okay, no big deal, we'll figure this out. How can we figure this out together?" Then when they do have a bigger problem and as they get older and the problems get bigger and weirder and whatever else, they're more apt to come to you, and sometimes if they come to you with something a little bit that you weren't quite expecting, then put on that horse hat and take a deep breath, and then step back, not physically, but emotionally for a second, and say, "What are they really trying to tell me? What is the information behind this situation? Are they in trouble? Do they need my help? Or are they just telling me something that they wanted to share with me? And how can I react to make them feel good, to make them feel safe?" And if you take that pause before speaking, then you're going to have a much kinder, inclusive reaction to what they're telling you. And they're going to feel safe as, like I said, as those problems get bigger and I wrecked the car or whatever.
And this process isn't just for your kids. It's
Yeah,
great
everything.
for your coworkers. It's great for your neighbor. It's something that works everywhere. And with those one-time people that you never see again,
Yeah.
I mean, there are several people out there that one interaction they had with me, I'm sure they still think of that one raging bitch that was blah, blah, blah. But it happens
Mhm.
because we have those silly flaws that we're
We all
supposed to
do.
learn from. Oh, absolutely. But the more you learn or train yourself, it's not like you have to go to school and sit down and study. It's
No.
that every time this happens, what is your reaction? And are you massaging it and changing it? Are you being more loving, more unconditional, more kind? I always say it's your responsibility for how you deliver a message, but you can't control how someone's going to respond to it.
Exactly.
But I can definitely try really hard to piss somebody off, and it's going to work most of the time.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm responsible for that.
Mhm.
But if I do it with love and kindness, like a horse would, then that person can respond however they choose, whatever button got pushed in them. And it might not be happy, but I also need to know that it's not my issue. It's what they're going through.
Yeah.
And so much can be learned by just allowing people to experience life, even if it hurts your feelings or they're mad. It's like that's them. It's not you.
Yes. And I will add that things when we talked about the horse connection, it's very heart-centered, it's very much in your body. They're seeing how, they can feel how quickly your heart is beating. Like I said, they don't care if you're frightened. They're connecting with you and they're like, "It's okay. It's okay if you're upset. It's okay if you're, whatever. But when we're feeling those reactions, when someone comes at us with a problem or a situation or whatever, we feel it in our body before it goes up to our head. So those are the things that when you take that pause, that break, and you take a deep breath, it's going to show up somewhere in your body, whether your chest gets tight. You might feel like a thermometer, your neck is getting red or something, or your gut just turns into a knot. Like, okay, I'm going to make a note of that physical feeling because you're going to feel this no matter what happens. We all have things stored in our bodies that are going to come out in various ways. So if we can start to pick up on those physical cues, then we can take that in also as information to help us process and respond accordingly.
And for me, that pause breath is so critical. I use it so much because I need that moment. And people are okay with you taking that moment of just and letting yourself think through it and choosing your response. If you already barked, that's okay. Take it now. Change it. It's not too late. But it is as we do our self-reflections and you feel where it is in your body, you'll start training yourself to do it before the bark or bite or whatever your animal does.
Kick.
Kick. Get out of my way.
And if you do bark, it's okay to say, "Oh, wow, own it." Say, you caught me off guard. I apologize or something. And that bark may have been my initial reaction, but I've had some time to process it. And this is what I really think. I mean, so you can, and you're not backpedaling. You're being authentic. You're saying, yeah, I was mad and I was mad. And here's why I was mad, or here's why that came out the way it did.
And sometimes I don't know.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't know where that just came from.
Yeah.
And it'll take me days to figure it out. Or if I dwell on it that long, I was like, yeah, move on. Who cares?
Right.
But if you do take the time to reflect and you do find it, you're able to rewire it.
Mm-hmm.
So it just makes sense to at least give it a shot.
Yeah. And whether you rewire it for that person or just for yourself, so that the next time that comes up, you're like, oh, I remember when I barked at that person because like, okay, dial it back.
It's so funny the things that make people snap. And it's a lifetime of things happening that builds up. I call it the pressure cooker. I can put this stuff in the pot. I can turn it on. I can lock it down. And if the heat stays on, eventually it will blow.
Mm-hmm.
And you have release valves. You have ways to get rid of it. You can take it off the heat. What is it that's going to work for you to prevent that blow? And I've often said, I want to learn how to just never get on the heat. I don't even want it to start building up. But I'm really good at letting it blow.
Well, and sometimes you need to have a release, like you said, and find a good, healthy way to have that release. Maybe you go out in the back and, break plates against a fence or something. I don't know. Whatever.
They have Wreck-It rooms around here.
Oh, cool. Smash stuff?
Yeah, you could go, or Smash It rooms. You pay by the pound of whatever's in there. You take your own and just smash this stuff up.
Ooh, I like that.
We went with a friend. They wanted to destroy some certain things out of their life. They had just gotten divorced and these things were going to be destroyed. And so we all went and supported the destroying process of letting go of all that stuff. And I'm sure axe throwing's another fun one that just gets that energy out and gets you out of that circly thought process that drains. It's like, I got to think about something else to make this work.
I've driven in 2 demolition derbies now. That is like the ultimate smash up. Get your frustrations out. That's really fun.
Yeah, well, that's for a whole nother podcast. Listen to Re Your Life, but they are fun to watch. I've never ridden in one. I've been in a crash or two, but
Yeah.
they weren't on purpose.
Yeah. It was kind of fun. I got to say, it was fun.
I remember one crash. I remember thinking afterwards, I would do that again if I was guaranteed the same result and no automobile or person got hurt, It's like, well, that was, if you think about it was like a amusement park ride.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't want to have but this is controlled
hmm
stuff. Semi-controlled. There are some rules.
Yeah, there's rules, but we can still do it. Hey, Sue, it's been so much fun chatting with you. I would love for you to share a little bit more about yourself, even though the information's in the show notes. But our friend would love to hear a little bit more about you and how to get a hold of you. And then what should they work on right now that might help them free up
Yes,
some
you can find
space from the hats going away? Okay,
a big box for all of your hats. Well, first of all, you can go to my website, willoughbycoaching.com. I'm also on Instagram at Sue_Willoughby. I'm on Instagram quite a bit. And I have a podcast called A Life Worth Being. And I bring inspiring stories to people that have been through a lot of interesting life transformations and come out on the other side. So it's always a good time. And the one thing that I would tell people is to start doing some reps, not at the gym. Start doing some awareness reps, start doing some curiosity reps, and look at things with fresh eyes and be okay with being a beginner and learning new ways to be, new ways to show up for people and show up for yourself. So be curious, beginner mindset, fresh eyes, and start building that awareness muscle.
I love it. Doing reps on your awareness and how our brains function. It's like, how strong is it? You think about the way they torture people, and it can just be a drip on the forehead for a long, over and over and over. What is torture to you, and how do you turn it off? And how do we be more aware up front and that curiosity, that always a learner, because it's going to change because we change. Every moment we're a new person. And so be ready to make changes along with your new discovered thoughts.
Yes.
I love it. Thank you, Sue, so much. This has been great. Friend, Sue and I are not medical or mental licensed professionals. We're here for entertainment. People have found something work for us and want to share with you to help you along your path. So stay tuned for the next episode.
Are you tired of waking up exhausted? You are not alone. If you're looking to take your life back, let's start with the simple step of adjusting your self-talk. Stay tuned for the next episode with your host, Lara Jane. Remember to follow the show so you don't miss the next simple step that you can use to feel more confident. And please leave an honest review.